Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Before we get into today's show, please do me a small favour. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Bottom right-hand corner. We're just about to hit 41,200. We're only one away, so go and do that right now. And I also want to know this. Who do you want to be Manchester United's next striker? We're going to be talking about Victor Osihmen on the show. We're going to be talking about Jonathan David. I want to know your thoughts. Who should Manchester United sign as the new striker in the summer? Let me know your thoughts below. Right, let's start the show off by talking about the striker, believe it or not. And let's talk about Victor Osihmen. Because there is a big story that has broken this morning saying that apparently Victor Osihmen wants to join Manchester United. Now, obviously, we're still 2 or 3 months away from the window opening. Is it June the 1st, I want to say? April, May. Yeah, I think it's June the 1st. It's anyway, it's in the summer, isn't it? We all know that you can't buy and sell players at this moment in time. But obviously, Victor Osihmen is at Galatasaray at the moment, and he has a release clause of £60 million, which is available in the summer. And the reports coming out this morning, this is from multiple different people in the UK, is that apparently Victor Osihmen wants to join Manchester United. Now, he probably wants to join Chelsea, and he probably wants to join Arsenal, and he probably wants to join Man City. And he probably wants to join Barcelona. So I don't know how excited I'm going to get about this story because realistically, I'm sure he wants to join lots of clubs, you know? But the story does go on to say that a move to Manchester United appeals to Victor Osihmen. I mean, of course it would because we're probably willing to pay him the crazy wages that he wants. The biggest club in the world or one of the biggest alongside Real Madrid. I mean, of course that would appeal to you. You know, if Manchester United come knocking, regardless of whether you're in the Champions League, and they're willing to pay you 250 grand a week, which is apparently what he's asking for, then I'm sure a move would appeal to him, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I want Victor Osihmen to come to Manchester United. I want Gyökeres to come to Manchester United. I want Jonathan David to come to Manchester United. I just know that we need a striker. And I have my favourites. I think my favourite is Gyökeres. My second favourite is Osihmen. My third favourite would be Jonathan David. Probably in that order, but at the same time, I understand that spending 60 million on Osihmen might then mean that we can't get a midfielder or we can't get a goalkeeper, which I think we need to do. So it's all down to priorities, isn't it? And I think for me personally, striker is the main priority. So I probably would spend, 60 million on a top striker because we don't have a top striker. You know, Højlund isn't a top striker. He might become a top striker in years to come, but at the moment, he's still just potential. Realistically, I think he's talented. I think he does have massive potential, but I think he's a long, long way away from being described as a top striker. You know, you can't. How many goals has he got this season? I know he hadn't scored for like 20 games, which is mental. So let's have a look at this season. Rasmus Højlund has scored. Come on, computer, go faster. Come on. The computer knows it's a Monday morning. It's being really slow. Come on. All right, so last season he got 10 goals in 30 games in the Premier League, which isn't awful. I mean, it's not great, but it's not awful. This season he's got 3 goals in 24 games, so his return rate has gone down quite considerably. He's averaging at the moment a goal every 8 games, whereas last season he averaged a goal every 3 games. So if anything, he's got worse, which, I mean, that's never a good sign, is it? But I obviously understand he's only 22 years of age. He's still very young. He probably should have been loaned out before he was made to become the starting striker for Manchester United. You know, we did a comparison yesterday of where Harry Kane was at the age of 22, and I can't remember where he was, but I think he was playing in the Championship. You know, and the same with Amad Diallo. He came to Manchester United. He didn't play any first-team football for like 3 or 4 years, really. Went off on loan to Sunderland, went on loan to Rangers, and now he's probably one of our best attackers. So it's not a case of these players aren't good enough. It's a case of how do we get the best out of them. And I think with a player like Højlund, he needs a loan move away from the club, see how he gets on, let him build some confidence, maybe send him to a Championship side, maybe send him to, I don't know, like maybe somewhere in La Liga, somewhere in Serie A, somewhere where hopefully he can go and get some goals, come back, and then, great, he can compete to be the main striker. But obviously we can't just wait around hoping that, hoping that Højlund's going to suddenly just turn good. We need to go and sign a top striker. But yeah, I'd love to know who your priority is. As I said, get in the comment section. Let me know who should Manchester United go for. I'm going to say Gyökeres, Osihmen, Jonathan David. I mean, in an ideal world, you'd get Jonathan David and you'd get either Gyökeres and Osihmen. Obviously, Jonathan David's available for free, so because his contract expires. So if I was in the boardroom at Manchester United, I'd say, right, let's loan out Rasmus Højlund. Let's get that sorted now. Loan him out. Let's bring in Gyökeres or Osihmen, whichever deal is easier to do and not going to cost you ridiculous amounts of money. And let's get Jonathan David as well. That means we'll have two strikers. We've still got Højlund, who will come back in the future. I think Jonathan David's maybe 25. And Gyökeres and Osihmen are like 26, 27. So you've got good strikers at good ages, and then you've also got Højlund, who's a young striker who will come through in a few years' time. That's what I would do personally. But I'd be very interested to know what you guys all think. Welcome to everyone who's just joined the chat. How is everyone doing this morning? Monday morning. We need the money for Ederson. Yeah, I like Ederson. I reckon he's going to Manchester City, though. I've seen quite a few people saying that apparently they're looking for... obviously, Rodri's been injured for a long time, hasn't he? And you never know how people are going to kind of recover from those types of injuries. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Ederson ends up. But I personally don't think Ederson will end up at Manchester United. I mean, he might do. This is just a prediction. But, yeah, I could just see him going to like a Manchester City or maybe a Liverpool or... Arsenal have obviously got Zubimendi, haven't they? I think. Is that right? I'm sure David Ornstein said that Arsenal have agreed a deal for Zubimendi. But anyway, Laurie Whitwell's also been talking about Osihmen, and Laurie Whitwell has said the following. This is obviously Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic. He said, in terms of what Manchester United want from a striker, I think Victor Osihmen would fit the bill perfectly. So I wonder what will happen there. The only thing is, Napoli, how much would they want for him? And would some kind of transfer swap make some kind of sense? Obviously, they've been interested in Garnacho already. I wouldn't rule out something like that potentially happening. Now, how would you guys feel about that? So, Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic is effectively saying that Osihmen is a perfect fit for Manchester United, which I would agree with. I think he'd be an amazing signing. And he's effectively saying that, obviously, Napoli want Garnacho. Is there a world where we swap Garnacho for Osihmen? I would do that deal, to be honest. I would, because, if we could get 50, 60 million for Garnacho pounds, and that means we wouldn't have to spend anything on Osihmen. We buy Osihmen for 60 million, they buy Garnacho for 60 million. So something like that. I think that'd be such good business for Manchester United. I like Garnacho. I'm just not convinced that playing as a central attacking midfielder really works in this system, I don't know how you feel about that. I think if we were playing with wingers, like how we usually do, like a 4-3-3, I think Garnacho's worth keeping. But I think in those central attacking midfield positions, you need creative players whose priority is to bring other people into the game. People who want to get assists. Whereas Garnacho's priority is just shooting every time he gets the ball. That's all he does. This season, he's played 30 times in the Premier League and he's got 1 assist. That's awful, isn't it? We want somebody in that position who's, getting 20 assists a season. And their priority is to bring others in, opposed to get the ball and try and shoot every time you get the ball and miss 99% of the time. So I like Garnacho. I think he's talented. I think he would do really well in Serie A. I think in a 4-3-3, he's dangerous. He's got the skills. He's got the pace. But I just think we do need specialist central attacking midfielders in those positions, And I think once Mason Mount comes back, it'd be very interesting to see, because Mason Mount is the player I'm describing, really. In relation to the team we have, the players I'm describing are people like Mason Mount, people like Eriksen, people like Bruno Fernandes, players who are creative and players who are constantly trying to bring others into the game. Whereas Garnacho isn't that. He's creative, but only creative for himself. Maybe that's something that can be trained into him, that they can change how he plays. But I don't know. I just think that he has that, I'm the main guy syndrome, if that makes sense, where every time he gets the ball, he has to shoot. And yeah, but you can let me know what you guys think about that. Maybe you think that that's a bad take, but I think most of you would probably agree I think most of you would probably agree in that. Right, what else have we got? Al says we need money for Frimpong. The thing is, though, right, there's quite a lot of talk that apparently Ahmad will play as the right wing back. So as much as I like Frimpong, do we think that? I mean, if Frimpong comes in, where does Ahmad play? Because Ahmad's best position this season for me has been at the right wing back position. We've got the most goals, the most assists when Ahmad's been playing at right wing back. So as much as I like Jeremy Frimpong, and as much as I think he's a good signing, I think one, he'll be very expensive, and two, I think that position is almost going to be Ahmad's. I mean, obviously we'll wait and see. You know, it's impossible to predict at this point, but that's kind of how I see it at this point. Oh, I've got a really itchy eye. Right. Right, let's move on from the striker situation and let's move over to this Jaden Sancho story. Now, this is gonna ruffle a few feathers this morning. So this is coming out from James Ducker in the Telegraph. Is it James Ducker? No, it's the Athletic actually. So it's a very reliable source. So the Athletic are reporting that apparently Chelsea will have to pay Manchester United £5 million to avoid signing Jaden Sancho this summer. I thought it would be a lot more than that. I mean, 5 million is not very much because the problem we have here, right, is, you know, people will be like, oh, that's great. We're getting Jaden Sancho. We're getting 5 million and we get Jaden Sancho back. Right? But the problem we have is if Jaden Sancho then comes back to Manchester United, he only has 1 year left on his contract at Manchester United. Okay? So if he comes back and then he says, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to run my contract down. You're stuck with me. That means that Manchester United will have to pay his contract for the next 12 months. And his contract is worth approximately 250k a week, which is about 12.5 million a season. So we might get 5 million from Chelsea and people will be like, oh, great, it's free money. But if you look at the wages we would then have to pay him for the next 12 months, that would still be another £7.5 million in wages, taking away the 5 million Chelsea give us. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a risky one, really. I think. Arguably, we might be able to get the 5 million and then sell him to someone else. I just have this horrible feeling that Sancho's just going to be like, you know what? I'll just stay at Manchester United for 12 months, and yeah, I'll just leave for free next summer. I can get more money next summer, you know. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys all think. Let me know. I really did think that it would be more than 5 million. I thought it would be at least like 10, 15 million pounds. Because we're effectively letting off Chelsea and all they're having to give us is 5 million pounds. Like it's not very much money in the grand scheme of things. Especially like I said, when Jaden Sancho's on over 13 million pounds a year in wages. Obviously it's still, you know, a bit annoying for Chelsea to have to pay that, but when you think Chelsea, I've said this on the shows before, that if Chelsea want to sign him, they've got to give us 25 million, and they would also have to give Sancho probably 250k a week. And if you work out how much that package is worth for Chelsea, right? So 13 million a season, Sancho probably asked for a 5-year deal. That on its own is 65 million pounds in wages alone, right? And then you add in the transfer fee of 25 million, and you're up to 90 million pounds. So if Chelsea want to keep Sancho and sign him permanently, it's going to cost them 90 million pounds over 5 years. Alternatively, they can say, you know what? We don't want this guy anymore. We're going to send him back. Here's 5 million. I mean, if I was Chelsea, I know what I would do. I would 100% send him back. Now, arguably, they could, in theory, sign him and then maybe resell him, maybe, but I think 25 million is probably his market value, and I don't think many other clubs around Europe I don't think many other clubs around Europe would want to swap. Would want to buy Jaden Sancho. Realistically, he hasn't performed at Chelsea. You know, I know the Chelsea fans tried to troll us at the beginning and say, oh, it was Erik ten Hag's fault. Look how good he is. And then very, very quickly, everyone's like, oh, Chelsea's, they're like, Sancho's a flop. Sancho's, you know what I mean? So the opinions change in football very, very fast. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. I thought it would be a little bit more than 5 million. Obviously, there is the potential that we could loan him back out to somebody else, which is obviously an option. Yeah, I don't know. How does everyone feel? Like, what would you guys do if you were Manchester United with this whole situation? I mean, it's an absolute mess. Everyone who's just watching the video, can you do me a favour and drop a like? We've got over 300 people watching live, which is amazing. But there's only 58 likes, which is not amazing. So everybody stop what you're doing a second and hit like and make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. All right? Let's try and get to 300 likes. If everybody watching likes the video, we will do that. So, yeah, jump in if you haven't already. So yeah, £5 million is how much Manchester United will receive if Chelsea decide not to sign Jaden Sancho on a permanent deal. I would be very surprised if Chelsea sign him. Obviously, I don't sit on the Chelsea board, obviously. So I have no idea whether they will. But, I mean, when I kind of break down the deal, I can't really see it. Alex says, hasn't Fabrizio said that Chelsea were happy with Sancho? I've not seen that story anywhere. Tell me where I can find that story and we'll talk about it, sure. Let me do a quick Google search and see if I can see. To be fair, The Athletic... Oh, I think I've got an eyelash in my eye or something. To be fair, The Athletic are just giving us the information that it will cost them 5 million if they decide not to sign him. That's all they're saying. You know? They're not really giving us anything more than that. Let me just have a look. If I can see anything about Sancho being happy. Yeah, I mean, in February, Fabrizio said that Chelsea were happy with the winger, but that was in February, the beginning of February. So, nearly 2 months ago. And like I said, things change in football. How many goals and assists has Sancho got since... yeah, 1 second, everybody. How are we doing on those likes, by the way? Right. Let's move on from there. Let's move over to Andre Onana, shall we, and see what the situation is around him, because there are some reports this morning saying that apparently Andre Onana to Saudi Arabia to Saudi. I mean, if we manage to get rid of Andre Onana, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Do I think it will happen? Probably not. He's very comfortable at Manchester United, apparently. He's on massive wages. I can't see it happening. I think Andre Onana is going to be one of those players that probably is just here for a long time. So, yeah, I can't see it happening, you know. But it is a news show. We bring you guys the news. We discuss it. I would probably say that the only option we really have at the moment is for Manchester United to sign a young goalkeeper. James Trafford would be my option. And hope that he can kind of push Andre Onana out of the team. And then eventually you get rid of Onana and another goalkeeper takes over. We've given him a big contract, big wages. We're not going to be able to break even, I don't think, on that transfer. Even if we sell him to Saudi, I think, how much would Saudi pay? 30 million maybe? 40 million tops? So, yeah, I mean, it's one to keep an eye on. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see Andre Onana at Manchester United? Or is he somebody that we should be looking to move on? And if he is somebody we should be looking to move on, like, who would you go for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I personally I like the idea of James Trafford. I think he's a decent option. I think if we could bring him in for a relatively cheap fee, we're talking like maybe 20 million tops, I would definitely bring in James Trafford from is he at Burnley at the moment? Yeah, I think he is. That's what I would do anyway. But again, you can let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments. I think that's everything for this morning's show. Got a really busy day today, so I'm not going to be on for much longer. But I'll be back live tomorrow as always. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you all have a lovely day. Don't forget to drop a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.